Good afternoon and welcome to Pay Entry's weekly webinar. This week we're going to be talking about ACA reporting in 2021. I'm Kathy Graham. I'm head of the HR services area at Pay Entry, and I want to thank you for attending today. I wish that everyone that had ACA reporting responsibilities would sit through a webinar or two, because then we would have an easier year end. And I know that some of the attendees today from this webinar probably know this better, the rules better than I do. So we appreciate your attendance. It does help for year end for you to know the laws and the method of reporting, so that we can file your returns promptly and without errors. Okay, so let's talk about ACA reporting in 2021. The things that I'm going to go over today, some of you may already know, but I want to reinforce them. There's some ACA terms that you need to know, why the correct codes are important, what new codes are there for 2021, the location for the codes, and the codes, Part 2, line 14, the codes that you put on Part 2, line 16, and then we're going to have a chance to ask questions. Okay, one of the things I want to stop and let you know is that in your handout section, there is a copy of today's presentation. And we will have a Q&A at the end of this session. So in the questions box, if you want to type your questions as we go through, I'll be happy to attempt to answer those after this session is over. I just want to make sure if everyone can hear me today. If you can't hear me, you can type into the chat box, and that will help me know if everyone is on board here. We'll get started with the ACA terms to know. The first term is limited non-assessment period. We're going to also determine what a qualifying offer is. And there's a lot of confusion around qualifying offer. So I want to go over that in good detail. Minimum value coverage is the next term we're going to identify, along with minimum essential coverage, safe harbors for affordability, and there are 3 of them: federal poverty level, the rate of pay, and the W-2. And it's important for you to know which of these your company is, because when you report, you use a certain code for those. Okay, let's talk about limited non-assessment periods. That is a term that is defined as the normal waiting period that you have all newly eligible employees wait before they can enroll in your health plan. So limited non-assessment period means waiting period. Under ACA, it cannot be more than 90 days. So you can't do like first of the month following 90 days. It has to be 90 days or less. You'd be surprised. I came across a company that was having their employees wait 6 months. There was another company that made their employees wait a year to join the plan. And so there are definitely those out there that have not gotten the word that it is limited to 90 days. Okay, qualifying offer. One of the terms that you can use, one of the codes that you use when you're determining or telling the IRS what kind of an offer you make to your employees. These are the one codes in your system. And a qualifying offer is considered to be an offer of coverage that satisfies all of the following criteria. First of all, you have to be offering minimum essential coverage that provides minimum value to the employee. And the employee cost that you charge for the employee-only premium for each month does not exceed 9.83% of the single federal poverty level, which this year for 2021 is $12,760 divided by 12. That would be $104.53. The offer of minimum essential coverage is also made if the employee's spouse and dependents are covered. So in order to have a qualifying offer and to use 1A, the code 1A, you have to have a premium of less than 9.83% of the federal poverty level, bottom line, and be offering the coverage that you're supposed to offer to the employee and the spouse and dependents. So check in all the blocks. The plan also has to be affordable. To determine whether or not your plan is affordable, you must use one of the following methods to determine. You can use the federal poverty level, affordability safe harbor, you can use rate of pay, or you can use the W-2 safe harbor. And we're going to go over each one of those to show you what is involved. The federal poverty level is determined by looking at what your employees share of the employee-only premium for the lowest cost plan that you offer. You know, some companies have started to offer two plans. One that is like bare bones but still meets all the criteria, so that they can take 9.83% of that and see if that, 9.83% of your lowest paid employee to see if it exceeds the 104.53. If it does, your safe harbor is not the federal poverty level. If you're using the rate of pay safe harbor, you're going to look at the employee's share of the employee-only monthly premium. And in all of these, you will be looking at the employee's share of the employee-only premium, even if they elected family coverage. So that's one thing to be aware of. It's always look at your employee-only premium. How much of that does the employee pay? And look at your lowest cost plan. The cost of that can't be more than 9.83% of the rate of pay. So you would take the lowest hourly rate that you offer to an employee, multiplied times 130 hours, times 9.83%, and that would give you the premium. But it cannot be more than that in order for you to have the safe harbor under rate of pay. The W-2 affordability safe harbor is the most commonly used. You look at the employee's share of the employee-only premium for the lowest cost plan, and it has to be less than 9.83% of the employee's W-2 wages for the prior calendar year. So when you look at the W-2 wages, you have the benefit of looking at all their pay, any bonuses, any commissions, and overtime. So it's a larger number. Therefore, you're more likely to pass this safe harbor than the rate of pay. So those are the three safe harbors. You have to fall under one of those in order to be considered affordable. If you don't know which one you fall under and you need help with this, please contact me. I'm there to help you with this so that when we do reporting at year end, you've got the right numbers in there, and I am happy to help. Okay, so why are these codes so important? It's pretty simple. The IRS judges your compliance using those codes. And if you have the wrong codes in there, it's going to create confusions and penalties, and actually penalty letters. I look at a lot of penalty letters where the employer has just made a mistake on the way that they've coded something or the way that they're presenting something. And once we straighten that out, it clears up the penalty letter, but it does create activity and hoops you have to jump through. So if we get the codes right the first time, you won't have a problem. So Form 1095-C is the form that you use to report this information to the IRS and to provide a copy to the employee. We've processed these for you as a part of our service, and we start looking at the data probably in August or September of each year. Now it's not too early to get started looking at your data to see if your filing will go through. There's one new spot on part 2 of the form to enter information, and this is the employee's age on January the 1st of 2020. You don't need to worry about this because our system will pull this for you, but this has to be completed only if you're offering an individual coverage health reimbursement account. It's a new type of health reimbursement account out there that employers can provide to employees. Basically, you put money in the plan, and the employee takes the money and buys coverage outside, and you don't offer health insurance. So it's just a new approach to offering assistance in health insurance. That HRA HRAs are very popular because the money is not taxable to the employee or the employer. If you need more information on something like that too, I'll be happy to help you. Okay, so let's look at Form 1095C, line 14. We will complete these forms for you, but in your system, these same levels exist in pay entry. We're looking here at line 14. This asks what type of health plan was offered to this person. If it's in all 12 months, it'll go across the board. But remember that the calendar in your system has to be fully completed. There has to be something in every block in order for your system to be able to file. If someone started work for you in March, there is a code for January and February when they didn't work for you. So you need to have those codes entered into the system correctly. All months have to be populated in order for it to process. On line 16, it's asking what choice was made by the employee. This means that if you offered them coverage and they turned it down, there is one of your safe harbor codes should be used for that block. If they took the coverage, it's always 2C. So there are some codes that are consistent across things, but you need to decide, did the person take it? Did they turn it down? What happened? A new line on Form 1095C is if an individual coverage HRA was offered, just as I just mentioned, you must enter the zip code used for identifying the lowest cost silver plan that's used to calculate the employee required contribution. Again, you don't have to worry about that. We will populate that field for you. And here's where it occurs on the 1095C. Remember, this is only necessary if you have one of those special HRAs. So let's talk about codes, and there are plenty of them. 1A is used if an ACA compliant plan is offered to the employee's spouse and children, and the employee contribution is equal to or less than, oops, I forgot to change that. It would be the new amount that I mentioned earlier for 2021. Sorry about that. So this is the one that is 1A is your safe harbor for federal, I'm sorry, not your safe harbor. It's the code if you offer a plan that is under the amount that is driven by the federal poverty level. 1B is used if you offer the employee a compliant plan, but you don't offer it to the spouse and dependent children. 1C is used if you offered it to the employee and dependent children, but not to the spouse, and that happens. 1D is a compliant plan that's offered to the employee and spouse, but not to dependent children. This would be very rare because the law requires that you offer the plan to the employee and dependent children, but not to the spouse. 1E is the most frequently used code. This is where the employee is offered compliant coverage and at least minimum essential coverage to the spouse and dependent children. It has nothing to do with the cost. 1F is if the employee is offered a plan that provides minimum essential coverage but not minimum value to the employee's spouse and dependents. This would be a plan valued at less than a bronze plan on the marketplace. And we're all more accustomed now to seeing the bronze, gold, and platinum plans out there. And 1G is used if you're self-insured. If you offer coverage to employees who are not full-time for any month of the calendar year, that would be like a part-time person, a non-employee, or a COBRA participant. Only self-insured plans have to report COBRA participants. We're still on the Part 2, line 14. 1H is used for any month in which the employee did not work for you or is in that limited assessment period. So remember I said that every month on the calendar has to be filled in. That means that you would put 1H if the person didn't work for you or if they're in their waiting period. 1I is not being used yet, and 1J is used very rarely. It's only used when a company allows some employees to enroll their spouse but not others, and it's not offered to any dependent children. That would be a very odd scenario. One that is more common, though, is this code 1K is used when the company allows employees to add their spouse unless the spouse is working and can get coverage somewhere else. Dependent children are also covered under this scenario. There are some new ACA codes on Part 2, line 14, and these are only for that new type of HRA plan. If you have individual coverage HRA and you offer it to employee only with affordability based on their primary zip code, then it would be 1L. 1M is if you offer the coverage, that HRA coverage, to employee independents, but not the spouse, with affordability based on the zip code. 1N is used if you offer coverage to the employee, spouse, and dependents with affordability based on the employee's primary residence zip code. And 1O is used if the individual coverage HRA is offered to the employee only with affordability based on the employee's primary employment site, so their work site, instead of residence. 1P is used if the individual HRA is offered to the employee and dependents, not the spouse, with affordability based on the employee's primary site, work site. So it's either based on their home address or the employment address. And here, 1Q, individual coverage HRA is offered to the employee, spouse, and dependents with affordability based on the employment site. 1R is individual coverage that's not affordable offered to employee, spouse, and dependents. And 1S is individual coverage HRA offered to an individual who is not full-time. So there are quite a few codes for those new HRA plans. And if you don't have one, you don't need to be concerned about these codes. Okay, let's look at line 16. That's the one below that asks what happened? Why did they not elect coverage, or why did they elect coverage, or if they did? 2A is the code that you use if the employee was not employed on any day of the calendar month. So you'll often see 1H and then 2A. The employee was not employed and on any day of the calendar month. 2B is used if the employee is not a full-time employee for the full month. You use this code if the employee terminates anytime during the month or if they're a part-time employee before that. Oh, I'm sorry, if they're part-time going to full-time, that kind of thing. So if they terminate or start work anytime during the calendar month where the coverage is not extended through the end of the month, you would use that code. 2C is used for an employee who enrolls in the health plan. This is the most commonly used code, and it's for every day in the calendar month. Let's just say they were hired on the 15th and their coverage started on the 15th of the month. Then they would be, you would use the code 2B for them until the following month when they were enrolled for the whole entire month. 2D is used when the employee is in a limited non-assessment period. That's that waiting period or a measurement period, and this code is used frequently. And 2E is used for multi-employer plans, which are union plans. If you are a union plan and you have more questions on that, please let me know. So, more codes. 2F, this is the code used if the employer is using the W-2 affordability safe harbor, and an eligible employee is offered and waives coverage. So instead of leaving that blank, we'd want to put this in if you're using the W-2 safe harbor. If you're using the federal poverty level safe harbor, you would always put into G if the person that you offer the coverage to declines it. And if your affordability is based on the rate of pay, then you would use 2H if someone declines your coverage. 2I is not being used currently. So I know that was a very quick go over of the codes. I wonder if anyone has any questions. And I just wanted to let you know, we will be having a pay entry version of this that will get into how you enter the data into your system. If that's something that you need, it will be coming up. All right, let's just see. Does anybody have any questions? You can type those into the chat box, or I'm sorry, the question box. Okay, it looks like we don't have any questions today, so all of you are just so smart. If you have questions after this is over, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you understand this and help you with your forms so that you can, get everything right the first time this year. We are going to be holding some personal trainings with those companies that are our clients for ACA and one-on-ones, and so I'll be reaching out to you to set up that time when you could be available for a look at your plan and how you need to report things this year. And if you need to talk to me, just shoot me an email. And this is my favorite part of the job, so don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for coming today. And if I didn't answer any of your questions, please shoot me an email and I will be happy to answer them personally. Again, thanks for coming and have a great day.